Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. You found the right place to go for this evening, your screen. And we would love to distract you from the pain of a hard day and get you some expertise, some fun with our star today, expert Robert Richter. And if you know the meaning behind the word, for the English-speaking audience, it's like Robert the Judge. Yeah. And
no pressure.
No. How I met Robert is a cool story, as he is to be, in a certain degree, one of our highly respected competitors, as he's also doing software selection. But that is not his only role, and he has some other roles. And I got a lot of newsletters from the company he's working for one of the companies. I got from business partners references such as, that guy wrote a real cool book about, or a white paper on, and I said, well, I better look into this because the guy's doing a cool job. Now, as Marshall would say, no pressure, no pressure. It is an honest, respected, taking my heart to my tongue and sharing this with the audience that I like when I see that people with brain and heart are working for the cause. And we are still on a journey where we can give guidelines, help, practical tips to a lot of organizations and people in these organizations, which are most important, because technology is one thing, process is the other, and people, for me, the most important. But from that starting point, I convinced Robert, instead of doing webinars where he is not always live, to do with us a live show. Tell us a bit about his very interesting and challenging jobs he has to do to get the right people at the right spot, and where we share the pain that we sometimes get the impression, why the heck is that lady or that gentleman taking care as project lead for that project? Who threw the dice and selected her or him for that role? But now, after that introduction, a little longer, so to make you a bit more comfortable, Robert, please tell us a bit about yourself in your own words. Welcome, Robert, to our show.
Thank you a lot, Ralf. Thank you, Marshall. Thanks for inviting me to the show. Like you already mentioned, it's my first really live show, and I'm kind of nervous, but I think it will be a great show. So thanks a lot for inviting me. It's an honor to be here. Introduce myself is not such an easy task. I'm Robert, hi, and I'm a senior partner and managing consultant at a mid-sized company from Germany called MindSquare AG. You can see it on the screen. And MindSquare is a company, about 400 consultants, large, that mainly cares about or taking care about digitalization and process optimization in the area of logistics and production, human resources, general IT processes, and that's where I'm responsible for sales, service, and marketing, customer service and marketing. So at MindSquare, I'm responsible for our business unit, and that's taking care mostly of consulting in the area of sales, service, customer and marketing, and implementation of CRM systems, all kinds of CRM systems for all kinds of customers, big customers, small customers, all industries. I, for myself, I'm doing the job now for more than 10 years, and I mainly handle customers in the area of the chemical industry and manufacturing, mostly mid-sized companies and some smaller international enterprises. So that's why I'm familiar with. So, and I hope we will have a great show tonight. And I give it back to you, Rob.
Sure. We're sure about this, and I wanted to share that I'm on the road in Franconia, Bavaria, and I have then the proper drink to help surviving the heat. And the second is I mentioned not in the intro because you see there are 3 people on the screen. Normally we are 4. The missing Thomas, our favorite candidate for asking the very in-depth questions and the thoughtful aspects of what he found out, or he came through the discussion on some points where he would like to dig in deeper. We thought that it would be a very nice thing if he today is looking into the announcement done a bit earlier for analysts, industry overview software selection specialists in live from San Francisco, from the Dreamforce for the industry analysts. And as we are 3, as Marshall often said, we can do in this triumvirate setup that we have the opportunity that someone can go for holidays or dig in a bit in some other stuff. So this is the reason why we then will have, after you recall that one of the last shows we have, or it was the last show to be honest, Chris Billmeyer from Salesforce talking about the starter product from Salesforce. And we had a lot of learnings. From that point, and that you are familiar with SAP products and with Salesforce products, Robert, with these in depth, but you compare also a lot of other products, such as you have for some time now also HubSpot in the portfolio. And
Exactly.
one of the touch points we had were that you wrote a very smart and large white paper format where you digged in a comparison written, and you did some webinars divided in 2 where you compared several products which are on the market and have a different setup and starting point for starting organization, for mid-sized organizations, for larger organizations, from a perspective of how ripe, how able you are in your organization, to the pricing, to the size of your organization. This is just a quick one. You will find more when you look into the LinkedIn profile from Robert, where there are some fantastic links further on. The aspect we would like to dig in a bit is, as we talk about hurdles, handicaps, and hopes, we would like to go a bit into what Marshall just highlighted. What, from your perspective, means success in such alignment of the words hurdles, handicaps, hopes, success in a project?
Oh, that's a question that's not so easy to be asked. If I'm talking too much, just give me a sign, okay?
It's an easy question to ask, hard to answer.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
we're making it tough for you early.
Thank you. So, what exactly do you mean by success? Yeah, that's the first question I can give you back. So, if I take a look and see what does success mean for myself when I'm doing, for instance, a selection or a project. For me personally, is after I've done a project with the customer should be better off after the project than he was before. That's quite simple answer, but it's a little bit deeper, more complex, because it also brings us to the question, what means success and being better off than before for our customers? And so my goal is it to have, in the end, to have a happy customer that is able to reach his goals. And these goals can be quite different for sales projects for each customer. For instance, we have many customers in the chemical industry. Their goals is to keep up with inflation, to keep up with price increases, and to also increase their prices, and to have good prices they can offer to the customers, maybe by a certain amount of percentages each year. We have customers that have a very high churn rate of their customers and want to decrease their churn rate by using new processes, by using CRM systems to be more reliable for their customers and to decrease customer fluctuation of their customers. We also have customers that simply want maybe to reduce their sales cycles, to have a higher liquidity, and to have have a better and more optimized sales funnel. So first of all, you need to talk with your customers and define what success means for the customer. And if you are able, or if I'm able to reach that goal with my customers, then I feel successful and I feel that I've done a successful project. And in my opinion, a CRM system is on the one hand quite central to reach these goals, but on the other hand, it's just a tool. It's nothing to be religious about. Yeah. Does this answer help you?
This makes absolutely sense. And I love the positioning, such as it is nothing because it's just a tool to get religious about, such as, to be very honest, if you don't have a tool, you are in a disaster. And with the tool, you can create the disaster faster. But this is the challenge in the way. To be very honest, people know about data cleaning and about consistency in their data and their databases. And at least one place where you align and hoard all these informations in one system is one first step to get a certain process-driven organization of your mess in one place, and then you can start cleaning up. Yeah. Marshall, you want to place the next one?
Yes. Well, it's a little bit out of order on our cheat sheet, which we don't usually use.
I prepared a lot of answers in the cheat sheet.
No, we don't. It's not really off script, but I am curious. How many customers of yours are what we would call a greenfield opportunity? One that has not implemented any kind of CRM before. And do you still run into businesses like that?
You will be shocked. I would say it's more like 50%. And even customers that make billions of euro in revenue are sometimes driven by Excel, having Excel price lists, having Excel product lists, and then you go into the depth of these customers, and you see that they have 800 sales reps, and every one of these sales reps have a different price list because some of them have exported their price list from SAP like 1 year ago, and another one got them last week, and so on. And it's a mess. And in Germany, I would say Excel is still the CRM tool number one.
Yeah, yep. I hear that. We say that Excel is a CRM tool. It's just a very bad one when it can do better.
Exactly. What, like I said, more than 50%, and it doesn't matter if you have a small company or an international enterprise. You will be shocked how many enterprises are actually rerun by Excel.
Wow.
Yeah.
You are right. I am shocked. Yeah. And have you also an amount of a percentage, for instance, how many clients you have or business contacts which jump in and ask you after their project on the one question has been driven through the wall or against the wall, was not successful, and then they want some guidance and some expertise, or those which have done already one system and are looking now because the enemy of the good is the better, that they would like to make a step forward, starting from, for instance, a client server-based system, a bit old-fashioned, just 20 years young. They would like to have something which is cloud-based, looking a bit more sexy and still affordable.
Or
Have you
scales better.
candidates like this?
Yeah, we have
Have you
both
candidates like
types
this?
of these. Yeah, we have both types of these customer. In fact, in the German industry, especially in the chemical industry, we have built up a reputation of being the saviors
Okay.
of messed up projects. So it's
Ah,
happened quite frequently that people start contacting us where a former CM introduction has failed, or where a current project is going to fail, and we are quite experienced in cleaning up the mess that someone else left
yeah.
behind.
Yeah.
Honestly, I can understand it. It's not so easy, especially if it's an international company, to really introduce a CRM the good way. You can a lot of risks and many things that you can do very wrong, and sometimes it's not even the fault of the implementation partner, or like 50%. But you were asking for percentages. I would say from the customers that are not Excel based and coming to us,
Yeah.
I would say like maybe 30% have failed projects and asking us to clean up the mess, and the other 70% have some former CRM systems, like all kind of CRM systems, self-built CRM system, IBM Series I. We also had this kind of systems which are older than I am. The portfolio of CRM systems we replace is quite large. Let's say it so.
And
Yeah.
are you, if you have to replace and migrate data, which is the worst case scenario you have met till now? From which system you had really a mission impossible challenge to get the data out of the old system?
I think we have one customer in the chemical industry, and this customer has a lot of has 4 different business units and has many additional sites in different countries all over Europe and the world. Like they are operating in more than, I think, 20 countries or so. And the problem is, this customer grew very strong in the last years by acquiring companies in different countries worldwide, and each of these acquisitions had their own IT and their own systems. And so you have a very heterogeneous system landscape. From these 20 countries, you have like 10 different ERP backend systems and like 12 different ways of CRM. One is using Salesforce, the other one is doing Excel, another one has their own instance of Microsoft Dynamics. And this to get a golden record here and to standardize data and get them into a unified data model. This is really a challenge, and it's a horror. And our customer is facing these problems for years now, and without making substantial progress. And currently, the implementation of the CRM is not so difficult. The most difficult thing is to get the so-called golden record and to align all these different systems with each other and the data in these systems, and that's the most challenging part. So this is absolute horror.
I'm with you. I just wanted to help the audience a bit, because what is your definition of the golden record, please?
Yeah, For me, the golden record does not necessarily need to be stored in a CRM system, but the golden record for me is a data set of, for instance, of a customer or a product that exists only, that is unique, that exists only once, and all systems are using the same set of information and data from this record. That's my definition. I think it's a professional definition, but it's my definition of a golden record.
Yeah, I'm
one.
absolutely fine with that one. That is one can understand. It's easy to handle and easy to remember, and that is important because
but hard to
data
achieve.
Yeah. You see me nodding like the little dachshund, yeah. And I have a second nickname, as I translated your surname as the judge. You have, as you have been mentioned, that you save the projects. You seem to have another nickname, Angel. Yeah, you're a savior. But these are important rules, yeah, to help judging the right thing in the selection that would probably work better for you. My expertise tells me that organizations like yours would better run with that. Or if you can recover another disaster, that you help him or them in total, that you throw the life belt towards them, they grab it and they get to safe grounds again. Yeah. By the way, what are, aside of shitty data, some of the core challenges you see in those projects you come into? And not only in the chemical industry, because I know you are far more spread it in car repair and car resellers, in rental machinery, and just to recall some of the projects I have heard of in the webinars. Yeah? So people see that you have a dedicated expertise in chemical industries, but you are more flexible than just that, and you have more expertise. Yeah?
Yeah, you're completely right. We are industry agnostic, if you want to call it so. So
That is
as long
nice.
it's we are also CRM agnostic, but as long as it's a B2B customer and he needs some advice or consulting, we are free to work with as good as any company, as long as it's not Scientology or so. Yeah, and you were asking for main challenges, and I think the main challenges are not coming from the technical side. The main challenges I face the most for initializing projects the right way are three challenges. The first one is we often hear or we often see that customers do not really know what are their strategic goals. So we often really facing this problem that a customer wants to implement a CRM system, but he doesn't really know why. And he has no goals, and he doesn't know in which direction this whole sales department or customer service department should go. And then we need to start from the beginning if he wants to talk with us about this topic, and identify goals and identify a proper sales strategy and align the alignment of sales processes. So this is the first challenge. The second challenge also has nothing to do with technology or technical things itself. It's a lack of change management and communication. Change management and communication is mostly underestimated by customers or by people who want to introduce CRM systems. And we often hear things like, every employee is looking forward to the new CRM system. Don't mind. We have everything under control. But we have also seen projects that have been implemented in a perfect way. Good processes, good automation, and good look and feel and so on. And because of the lack of change management and communications, people didn't use the system. because they felt tracked, or they say, oh, my Excel file was quite faster than using the CRM system. Why should I enter all the data here? And you spend a lot of money to introduce a CRM system, and you spend a lot of money on the licenses, but when nobody is using the system and people are denying to use the system, then you just wasted a ton of money and you can start all over again. And it doesn't matter how good the system actually is. So lack of change management is problem number 2. So here's the camera. Problem number 3 is, it sounds funnier than it actually is, but many of our customers don't really know how they make their money. So when you want to introduce a CRM system, right, you need to know what are the processes looking like, where's the data coming from, what is actually the need of your customers, what do they need, and what are the bottlenecks of your sales processes, how does your sales process look like, what are your sales stages, what are your conversion rates, and so on, yeah? And what kind of sales strategy do you have? And we often face customers where the sales department or also the customer service department is completely maybe let alone, and the decision makers cannot really answer the question of how a systematic process looks like or should look like. You know what I mean? And this is, of course, this is a problem, because if you don't have a communication strategy and change management strategy, if you don't know what are your strategic goals, in which direction do you want to go in the next years, and if you don't know why people are buying your products or your services, how do you want to implement a CRM system then and improve your business and go into the stage of growing and becoming more customer oriented and so on, if you don't know your customers and the way you sell your products to your customers? And this happened more often than you might think. And of course, we try to intervene here and to have, before we start a project, to assess these kind of questions. But it happens more than often that we do a discovery and we ask people what KPI are important for you. Which KPI do you want to improve in the future? What is the overall strategy of your company? Do you want to grow? Do you want to be more liquid? Do you want to improve your assets and so on? And we don't get an answer for it, and we just get the answer, yeah, we want to make life easier for our employees, or we want to be customer oriented, but nobody actually knows what customer orientation really means from the other side of the table. So that's a problem.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Very.
We often have the situation that really when we get in contact with a customer, we get an Excel file, and in this Excel file you get a rough description of really rough requirements, but these requirements basically state things that they already have, and so they're asking us to implement something they already have, maybe with Excel or with any other tool. And the challenge is to build up the mindset that we can go beyond and that we can actually help the company to grow or to be more profitable. And therefore, like I mentioned, we need a good strategy, we need good processes, and we also need good communications.
Yeah, it's hard to align a CRM with a business strategy if you don't know what your business strategy is.
Exactly. That's what I mean. Yeah.
You find yourself consulting on that as much as you are on the technology.
Yeah. And
if you have
coming
this,
from go on.
For interrupting you. If you have already assessed the business strategy, and if you're going deep into the processes and start to optimize the processes and so on, you see that CRM, like I mentioned before, is just a tool. It's really just a tool, and it will not solve all your problems automatically by introducing a tool. Processes, goals, strategies are, in my opinion, more important than the tool. Basically, if you take a small company or maybe a mid-sized company, and you take a look at CRM systems like maybe Salesforce Professional Edition, HubSpot, and what all their names are, from a process perspective, they are all the same. Every of these CRM systems have a kind of lead to order process implemented. And more important for a customer to really achieve the goals is to have a certain CRM and customer-oriented mindset, to have goals, and to form the tool they're using to reach these goals.
And in this need and benefit analysis, doing those assessments, which people you see are involved in doing so, and are these assessments done in a proper way, or are they more or less not as successful as they could be, depending on some dedicated findings you might like to share with us?
Yeah, that's also a very good question. A simple question, which is not so simple to answer. You're asking, who do I see when we do assessments like this? And I can tell you who I'm not seeing at these assessments. And I am not seeing decision
More
makers.
important.
Yeah, people that are really running the company. I see maybe IT leaders, IT project managers, sales reps, or maybe sometimes also kind of team leads or sales directors or something like that, but no one who is actually responsible in the company to take decisions. And when we do these assessments, in my opinion, it's maybe my personal opinion. In my personal opinion, sales should not only be a department in the company. There's a quote, I don't know from who it was, but it says the whole company should be a sales department. And sales is, in my opinion, one of the most valuable things you can take care of in a company. That's most essential beneath your products and your services, of course. And implementing a CRM system is helping you to boost your sales and to get your sales or customer service to the next level. And that's why I do not understand why these assessments or these projects are often delegated to people that cannot take a decision and that do not have power in the company to take that decision or sometimes to say no.
I wonder why that is.
And I
I
wonder
have a
why.
theory.
Yeah, we were talking about the whole company is a sales department. I just would like to do something provocative. I would throw into the room that the organization should be responsible for employee happiness and good employee experiences to drive good customer experience and customer happiness. So what I miss is that there are customer happiness departments to be provocative in an organization which is driving profit, such as happy wife, happy life. Yeah.
It's quite funny. Since our company started in 2010, we have evolved our own sales department a couple of times. I think it's now the 9th iteration or so in our own company. So we're constantly improving and evolving our own sales department. And since the last year, the working title for our sales department is customer happiness. So I like this idea very much. But
Sell customer happiness. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's also what I meant, a part of it, when I'm talking about customer orientation, because many people state that one of their values or one of their strategic goals is to become customer oriented, but many don't know what it means. For instance, in the manufacturing industry, or also in the chemical industry, these are industries which are quite often very production driven. That means there's a very intelligent engineer somewhere in the production, and he thinks about how to improve a certain chemical asset or a certain machine or whatever. And when he has improved it by 10% or 2%, it gets thrown out to the market, regardless if there's a need for it or not. And then sales department has the task to sell it somehow to their customers. And I think that's also one of the answers to your questions. Why the wrong people are doing these projects and are in these assessments, because a customer orientation in companies, in German traditional companies, is unfortunately not as relevant as it should be. Its sales department or customer orientation is more seen like a hobby for certain people. That's why, for instance, you have projects. We had projects, and the whole project team from our customer side have been people that were working part-time on this project, because they had their own jobs in beneath, in sales or business development or whatever. And then you can see the relevance of the customer for introducing a CRM system, for becoming customer oriented. Yeah, and this project is going to fail if nothing changed. And why are the wrong people at these assessments, at these workshops, in these project teams? On the one hand, selecting a proper CRM. You need to stop me, otherwise I will not stop talking.
Hey, we're here every week. You're the one we want to hear from.
Exactly.
That's what I want to hear. If you look at the task or the activity of selecting a proper CRM system, it's like, in my opinion, like any other software selection, it's an unloved task. It's complex. You need to talk with a lot of people. Maybe politics are involved into selecting a certain tool. Everyone has his preferences. It's not so easy. It's very time consuming. And I think that's why this task is often delegated from people who could do it and who have the power to take decisions, to people, to subordinates that do not have power and do not have the competence to really take a decision. And I think that is one of the aspects why the wrong people are sitting in these projects. And also, why are the wrong people sitting in these projects? Instead of looking for who would be the best for the project, for instance, from the business side, customers tend more to take a look on who has some time.
Yeah, who can we spare?
Who has the capacity? Exactly. Who can we spare to put into the project? Yeah. And then you get the 22-year-old enthusiastic, a sales rep that doesn't have experience and doesn't know how the world runs into your project as your stakeholder for sales. And yeah, he's not able to make a decision. He's not able to say no.
I would like to share a part of my secret sauce. I get teams with a near, at least less than 5 years before retirement, one middle-ager, and a youngster. So I get generation whatsoever. I'm young, I know everything in the world, and I drive this project, and I'm just here to rock the world. Then we have the mid-sized, mid-aged, who has seen all the trouble through what he has walked through. Yeah, Jesus, all the trouble I have seen, help me. Yeah, and is not singing that song, but has it in mind, and is not too eager to have another workload on his shoulders, and to be retired in some space. What we worry. These idiots can do what they want. In 5 years, I'm off.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that disaster is behind me. I hear the floods coming, but I'm already on the safe boat. But interesting enough, the old ones, which want to get rid of the project in the way of I'm retired, I don't care, have the attitude in getting the taste for it. And as they have nothing to lose, speak frankly to those which are, at the end of the day, getting the paycheck to get the job done and to finance the project, and give them an honest word.
Exactly.
And so the three of them, in their different roles, in their different age, and in their different expertise, could become a very interesting lighthouse team.
Yes.
Yeah? They have friends in all areas of the company. The eldest one, the probably strongest connections, which are so important to drive from the people perspective the success of a project. What I wonder is, go into.
Yeah, you're completely right. Actually, you need a good mix of these roles and these attitudes. But it becomes a problem if you transfer responsibility to people, for instance, the youngsters, without transferring power. And then you have a youngster in the project that maybe has not the experience than the older ones, and who also is not as respected as the older ones, and he does not have power to take any decisions. If he needs to ask his boss every time a decision is needed, then you have a problem in this project. So you can have a mix of that, but you need also to make sure that people are not only transferred with, not only responsibility is transferred to these people, but also power, and make sure that they can make an error or a mistake without someone is ripping their head off,
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
that sometimes
responsibility
does not
without
happen.
the responsibility without power just makes you afraid to make a choice.
Exactly.
And if people in the organization know that you have the power, the permission, and that you are allowed to make mistakes on the road or on the journey, that is a completely different story. So enable them, empower them, and like in the song "Power to the People," yeah, it is important that the message gets through and that it is supported by the board or however the organization is driven. Yeah, a patriotic one. If the boss who has the final word says, "I'm fine with the project team," I know that they would take the responsibility in a way that they will not disappoint me, and I trust them. That is the best thing which could happen, yeah. But it's not.
Exactly.
It's more like fairy tale, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I observe in the last 20 years a lot of those funny decisions. Our new CRM has been selected on the golf course. They have had a chit chat. This was very much the famous Tom Siebel story. Trust me, I have been involved in 3 cases. The decision has been made between hole 1 and hole 18 on the golf course. Yeah, and the contracts were signed in the golf club resort hotel, and then the rollout started internationally. Yeah, and because some smart asshole decided that a VPN traffic line from Switzerland to Paris is good enough to do the CRM jobs, they could cook coffee, meet their girlfriends before they had a solid data stream up and running through the VPN. This was in 2001. Yeah? So for me, it needed just 10 minutes with a responsible customer clerk of that bank and look into the system and see that nothing is happening. I said, but you push the button. Yes, Mr. Cope. If I push it another time, then the system might break down. So I have patience. Patience in a customer-related job is a hard thing to achieve. Now, we measured the delivery times and the response times, as I called them delivery times. And I asked them, yeah, how are you feeling today? Oh, well, burning eyes from staring into the screen, which is not happening, and a burning stomach because I had too much coffee. After that, I made the suggestion that a local system could be beneficial. That was deal number one against Siebel. Yeah. And I was with a small Swiss company called Team Brendel. We are a mid-market organization at that time, and we were focused to direct customer response and being in the mid-market, one of the leading organizations, even that it was an old-fashioned client service system. But we listened to the customer wishes and we applied what the customer were asking for. So this is 22 years ago. And the book about CRM in the mid-market is still a valuable source for inspiration, such as if you do not have your KPIs ready, you cannot measure what you have achieved. So I follow exact that talk from you and that advice, what you gave at the starting point of our conversation. Be aware what you sell. Be aware what you gain. Be aware where you want to make profit on. Be aware where you do serve your customers better than others. Where is your competitive advantage? And if it's a better service, that's fabulous. Because these days, this is important that people feel and experience something. Our friend Thomas would say, well, you cannot create customer experience. You can work that the customer has a good experience and talks about it and gives you the feedback. I like that experience. Yeah? So, what is the role of a software selection consultant from your perspective?
Basically, it's the same role as for any good consultant, I would say. A good software selection consultant should be open-minded, should be a trusted advisor for his customer. That means he should be reliable, he should put the needs of his customer before his own needs, and should put the customer first, and he should basically, okay, you need a little bit of experience in a certain tool set, but basically you need to be a good listener and need to ask the right questions and listen to it. And then draw a picture of how you can, how the company, your customer, your client could improve, could be better off as before. And like I mentioned, software selection means for me that I'm also an independent consultant. That means I'm not married to a certain vendor of a CRM system. I know we are doing like 90% Salesforce projects at our company, but we're not married to Salesforce. And if I see there's a customer and another CRM system fits perfectly to processes, to scalability, to the needs of intuitive design and intuitive customization and so on, then you should be, as a consultant, free to advise your customer in this. Of course, it means you need to know other systems and you need to know the processes quite well. But the role of a software selection consultant is, for me, on the one hand, to work on the processes, improve the processes with the customer. If he doesn't have processes, then go on with the customer, create one and optimize processes. And when you have the processes, select proper tool fitting to these processes. And also keep in mind things like costs or maintenance, like maybe also preferences of certain people, and you need to juggle these things a little bit. But that's mainly, in my opinion, yeah, the role of a software selection consultant.
Fine.
Trusted advisor, and good listener, and be a good consultant.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I mentioned, find the right tool to help the customer.
Experiencing from the ERP side as from the CRM side that there are a lot of projects running around these days where people try to do it as a do-it-yourself project or find a committed student which is working
Oh my
half-time
God.
and working half-time on the university, and they select him as project leader to select the next software solution for the organization because he is now studying that stuff on CRM, and so he is as good as a software consultant or a pro with all the expertise of 20 years. Critically reflecting, why are such of those do-it-yourself projects go into distress, go to hell, or are at least not deployed successfully?
First of all, if you see a customer or if you see a situation like this where really a working student is responsible for introducing a CRM system or even an ERP system, then oh my God, this is completely irresponsible. For me, like I already mentioned, sales is one of the most crucial parts of the whole company. The whole future of the company relies on how you make sales, marketing, and how you treat your customers. And your products can be the best products in the world if you don't have a good sales department, sales processes, if you have a shitty customer experience. You will learn your lesson sooner or later. And so this is a situation that is not acceptable. But coming back to your main question, why do these kind of approaches fail? I think they fail because they are lacking multiple things. One thing is they're lacking a top-down and not a neutral top-down view. Because when you're working in a company for several years, you know your company, you know the processes, you know the politics and all the decision making and so on. And you have in Germany we say tunnel vision in your
Yeah,
company. And when it comes to improve processes, you need someone from the outside that has a clear view on the bottlenecks of your processes, things that go wrong or things that might be very fine and go very well. And you also need someone that, like you already mentioned, with the elderly people in the project teams, you need someone who can talk clearly and who can say no. You are doing that's a bad idea. I would not do it. That's a stupid decision. Don't do it. And you don't have people like this in internal project teams because you have politics and you have hierarchies and
yeah.
yeah, everyone wants to be the one who is liked by the other team members and so on. So multiple things tend or tribute to fail these projects. One thing is internal teams most often lack of experience and best practices. How should you know CRM best practices and CRM do's and don'ts if you have never done CRM projects before? Yeah. Of course, when we started our CRM department, our first big projects, they failed. I can honestly say our first big projects that we were really, really happy to get these projects, but they failed because we were inexperienced and we didn't know all the best practices. Now we are far better off. And so how should the internal team at a company should have this experience? Second is decision making, what I already mentioned, top view, lack of top view, lack of power to say no. And that's something that leads to this situation. And also, mostly, like we already talked about, this team is not set up properly. You don't have the right
Yeah.
people in the teams, and you don't have the right capacity of the team. And that also leads to situations that are not optimal if you do it only internally. I think in the area of CRM implementations, it's worse than in the area of ERP implementations, because in my opinion, ERP is a lot about data, a lot of static processes, and there it can be very beneficial if you have many internal people working in a project. But from a CRM perspective, I think it's more beneficial to have at least some external people that are taking care for the project into the team.
Mhm.
Yes. Where do you think businesses underestimate the challenge most in implementation?
Yeah, I think they mostly underestimate the challenge in two sectors. One sector, number one, is the whole analysis and design part. Like I already mentioned before, mostly we get an Excel file sent with a rough with 200 or 300 lines and of requirements, and requirements are defined as we need customer data, we need to have contracts, we need to have our products, and we need to have offers. These are not requirements, these are not processes, this is just a wish list and more not. And when we tell the customer, okay, we should really go deep and start to create a ton of concepts, like we need to have a concept for the golden record. We need to have an architecture and a concept for the whole IT landscape. We need to have a test concept. We need to have communication concept. We need to have a training concept. We need to have some workshops to really define in detail how the process looks like, what's the process landscape, and what the requirements are. And this work, many of our customers see this kind of work as pre-sales. But I think it's the most crucial part of the whole project to do this analysis and design work. This is number one. This is really, oftentimes really underestimated by our customers. And the second one is change management and communication during the project. I cannot stress it enough that you really need to have a top to bottom communication line before the project starts until the end of the project, with a systematical and methodical change management and communication approach. And it is not enough if a CIO or a sales lead has a short speech in a training and tells his people, okay, this is the way to go. No, this is not enough. And to hope that everyone is aligned with the strategy and everyone is happy to get a new tool. No, it's not the reality. You really need to take care of, with a systematic approach, how to communicate to whom with what message, by using which channel and so on. You need to make, and if you cannot do it by yourself, you need to get help to do it. So these are I think the two most underestimated things.
That leads us into the part of the show we like to call famous last words, I think. This is where you get to leave us with whatever thought you want to. I will give you a topic. Why do vendors not like selection consultants? Why are we hating?
What for a cool selected question. Lovely.
Okay, maybe a little bit provocative, but the answer is greed. Because a vendor, people at vendors, I do not say everyone at these vendors,
but we have some in mind.
Right.
Yes, exactly. And if they get, sometimes they don't put the customer first, they put themselves first and want to make the most money out of their customers. And my approach is, I don't need to make most money out of my customer. I need to make the customer happy. And if the customer is happy, he will buy another project and another project and another project from me.
Yes.
And that's my approach. And that's why people don't like selection vendors, because vendor selections, consultants, sorry. Because the one party wants to sell everything and sell it now, and the other one is actually putting the customer first and is the advocate of the customer. And this is not running well together, mostly.
Well
That
said.
Thank
is
you.
lovely, lovely. Well said. Yes, yes, absolutely agreed. Robert, being the angel, being the judge, what else can we expect? Thank you for a fascinating hour of doing just a flywheel-like speedy conversation. As time flies by,
You're welcome.
yeah,
Yes, it
and
is.
We had a good one.
grateful for the audience, grateful for those people who stayed with us and still there. And we look forward when we have in the next two sessions coming up, the next one, a CEO or at least a C-level member from a vendor, which is long time in the market, and where the opposite of spice and salt would be the name to go for the game. And the other opportunity is that we are very much empathy driven. Not that I'm only the one protagonist who makes the hashtag empathisches CRM, empathic CRM, but also empathy in action is something where we have regularly Dr. Natalie Petuhoff, or as we have a German expert on the road, Guido Bayer, who is driving the approach of organizational experience, OX, is driven by as the synergy and the synthesis of employee experience and customer experience. And he would like to give us on the 26th, if I'm not mistaken, a little guidance out of one of his late studies, where they have not only done the research, have done a lot of findings and collected them and gave a lot of expertise, but they also found, together with the Deticon colleagues, a new opportunity for proper measurement. And as we found out that KPIs are so important, I look forward for these next two CRM conversations. Thank you very much that you have been with us. Thank you very much to Robert for sharing your time with us and the audience.
Welcome.
And
Was
please
fun.
take and please take care. And we go backstage now. So please stay with me. Thank you, dear audience.